Hey everyone, on today's episode of Careers Out There, we're going to explore careers in accounting. We'll be talking to Jeff Elliott of Topeka, Kansas. He's a CPA with over 8 years of experience in the accounting profession. Jeff's worked at private accounting, public accounting, and in-house at 2 publicly traded companies. Today he runs Another71.com, which is an online business that helps you pass the CPA exam. Another71 is one of the most visited accounting-related sites on the internet. Jeff actually gets 1.2 million page views a month at that site. On every episode of Careers Out There, we explore a career path by talking to a real professional who does that kind of work. And they tell us what it's really like and share all kinds of advice to help you decide if it's the kind of path you want to pursue. You see, we're helping you find a career that fits you so you can love what you do. I'm your host, Mark Luber, and I'm really psyched Jeff's here today because who better to tell us about accounting careers than someone who can help you pass the CPA exam? It's going to be a great show, so stick around. Okay, we're back. Jeff, welcome to Careers Out There.
Thanks again.
All right, thanks for being here. So, Topeka, Kansas. I got to say, I've never been to Topeka, Kansas, and it looks like you're like dead center in the heart of America.
Yeah, you're not missing out on much.
No? Nice. So, you and I were talking on the phone the other day about all the different kinds of accounting careers, and I want to get into that. But first, I want to separate the difference so everyone can understand the difference between being a CPA and just being a regular accountant. Can you separate that for us?
Basically, an accountant is someone who says, you know, I really like working with numbers, and so they go in and work for a small business. They do their bookkeeping, which means that they keep track of how much money is coming in, how much money is going out, what types of things the company owns, how many computers, how many trucks, how much tools, how much money does the company owe to credit card companies and whatever. So basically, an accountant just kind of they kind of keep score for a company.
Okay, and then CPA. CPA stands for Certified Public Accountant. But what does it mean if someone's a CPA?
A CPA is someone who is an accountant who then takes the extra steps to get the additional education requirements, and then they take the CPA exam. And then they go on to get licensed by their state. And the CPA exam is a national exam, but each CPA, they're actually licensed by their state. So a CPA in California has different licensing requirements than a CPA in Kansas.
Got it. Okay. And let's talk about some of the different paths CPAs can take. When we were talking on the phone the other day, I learned a lot because I didn't know any of this. You were saying that there's a tax side of things, there's an auditing side, and there's an industry side, like going in-house to a company. We all have to pay taxes, so we all kind of relate to taxes. So let's start with the tax side and tell us, what does that mean? What's that about?
Well, from January through April, basically, everyone's getting their taxes done. And so what happens is you get your W-2 in the mail, maybe some interest income statements. You walk them down the street to your CPA and say, hey, here's my taxes. They crank out some numbers and say, here you go, mail this to the IRS. You are getting this much back, or you need to write a check for this much. And that's pretty much what a CPA does as far as the tax side. They can do tax work for individuals, just your average family. They can do tax work for corporations. You know, corporations have to pay taxes too. And they also do simple things like sales tax compliance work. So,
and what's a typical day for those people? You were telling me that 8 months of the year, it's pretty much 9 to 5 kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, there are CPAs who do both auditing and tax work, so it seems like they're always in a busy year. But for people who primarily do tax work, their busy time of the year is early to mid through mid-April, and then later on in October with another filing. But that's when the work is really insane. You're working 60, 70, 80, even some work more hours a week. Many CPA firms require 6 days a week at that time, some 7. It just kind of depends on what the culture is there within the firm.
Okay. So that really busy time of year, you cut out at one point. It was January to April and then October, was that?
Yeah. January through April, then all of those people who who filed extensions and procrastinated to file the returns, they have to file again in October.
Okay. And then CPAs who focus on the audit side. What is audit side? What does that mean?
Well, basically, people who have money that they want to invest, they can either invest it or save it by put it into a CD at a bank, or if they want to take a little bit more risk and earn a greater return, they look for companies out there like say Apple. They're like they really like the iPhone, they really like the iPad, and they think Apple is doing great things, and so they think Apple would be a great place to put their $100. And so Apple puts out these financial statements that says this is how much we earned, this is how much, this is all the assets that our company has, this is how much we have. And so the investor looks at the financial statement and says, I really like what's going on with Apple, but you know what? I don't work for Apple, so how do I know that any of this is true? Well, a CPA, and only a CPA, usually a CPA firm, they go inside Apple and look around and investigate everything, and they say, yes, basically what Apple says on these financial statements is what is really going on with the company. And so then the investor can say, you know what, I think Apple would be a great place to park my $100.
Okay, that makes sense. I get it. And then what about the lifestyle for that? How's that different? Is that a regular 9 to 5 kind of job, or what's the scoop?
Well, auditors, like tax professionals, have a busy season also, and so there's some days where they'll just spend time at their cubicle at the CPA firm, but a lot of times they will spend an extended amount of time within the company. Like they will physically go to Apple. They probably have this little small cubicle in this dark room somewhere where they sit with other auditors, maybe a team of 5 to 10 auditors, and they all sit on their laptops, and that's where they work. And so wherever they live, they drive to Apple every day or whatever company it might be.
Okay. And so they're watching over everything to make sure that everything that the company is reporting to the public is accurate so that the public knows that their investment is based on reliable data.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, very good. So then tell me this, though. Why is it called public accounting?
Probably because you're protecting the public. You are serving the public. You are serving the public by doing tax work. You're serving the public by doing audit and compliance work. You're kind of the watchdog for the public for the financial sector.
Huh. And then what's an example? In the intro, I said you've done public and private accounting. What would private accounting be?
Public is usually where you're performing a service for the public, either doing tax work or auditing work. Private accounting is when you go in and work for a company that is not publicly traded, which means that they don't sell their corporate stock on any stock exchange. It's just, some guy started a business and he's doing well, and so he needs an accountant to come in and keep things straight because he doesn't like doing bookkeeping. He wants to go focus on whatever his deal is. And so private accounting, you go work for a privately held company.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I just wanted to get that distinction right because that was tricky to me. Okay, and then we talked about the other thing, in-house industry, going in-house to a company to work in the industry side. So that's the lingo for working at a company as a CPA?
Yeah, usually at a publicly traded company, like again going back to Apple.
Okay.
Whereas before, maybe you were an auditor working at Apple, but then you think, you know what, I really like this place. I think I'd like to be an accountant here. And so then they go to work for Apple, and that's usually what it means when someone mentions industry.
Now, as an attorney recruiter, I was very often moving people from law firms, sometimes from one law firm to another, but a lot of times from a law firm to a company to go as an in-house attorney, which would be similar to this. And
Yep.
Everybody, almost every attorney wants to go in-house to a company. They all think that it's this beautiful, relaxing, it's like sitting on the beach. It's going to be a whole different kind of career path. Is it that case in accounting? Is there a big difference? Is it a more laid-back environment? What's the deal there?
Well, going to work for for industry, while it might have different types of stress that a public accounting environment does, you're not driving someplace every day. That's not your normal work office. Like, you're driving to Apple every day, and next week you'll be driving to whatever company. With industry, basically you go to the same place every day, but industry you still have deadlines, the same quarterly deadlines and the same year-end deadlines that those auditors are there to report on. You, the accountant, have to be there to provide them information, and so it's a little bit different, but some of the stress is still the same. So the grass isn't always greener on the other side.
Right, right. So you still got to log the hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what's the most rewarding part of being a CPA?
Well, when I worked in public accounting, and I didn't work for a big four firm. I worked for a small local firm, and I had about 15 to 20 clients. And so some of my clients were liquor stores, clothing stores. I had a modeling agency. I had a mom and pop mechanic shop, and basically they do what they do well, and that's whatever it is. But they don't know tax law. They don't want to bother with their books, and they have no idea if they're making a profit or not. I mean, they don't know, and so they bring their stuff to you, and then you can sit them down and say, yeah, what if you maybe you didn't spend so much on this, or what if this service that you're providing is very profitable, more profitable than some of the other stuff that you're doing. What if you did more of that, or what if you sold more of that? And so you are tangibly helping people, which impacts their families, and that's the most rewarding thing I think about accounting is the fact that you're helping people. You're helping people do their tax returns. You're helping investors make good investment decisions. When accountants don't do their job, you see what happened with Enron.
Very good point.
By the way, that accounting firm no longer exists. So
Yep. It took down one of the biggest.
yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so that's great. So the joy of helping other people by having a skill that you're bringing to the table, that's just one of the elements or factors that's missing from what they bring to the table with their expertise.
Exactly.
So you got to really enjoy the rewarding aspects of it.
At least for me, it was always job security, because accountants, and especially CPAs, they're always in demand. So I kind of had that peace of mind knowing that even in a recession, of course, this isn't this. A lot of CPAs are finding out that even in a big recession, it's still hard to find work. But I always found that I had better job security than my peers. And in any interview, you instantly have, in any job interview, you instantly have a leg up against your non-CPA peers who are vying for the same job.
And that's getting more and more competitive now.
Yeah, it's extremely competitive. It used to be that the benchmark was having a bachelor's degree to get your foot in the door. Now, with the economy the way it is, now the benchmark is that you need to have a CPA certification.
Okay, so people got to be ready to take that test.
Yep.
So let's talk about the type of people that should. Who should be going for a career like this? Let's talk about, break it down with skill sets, interests, and personality types. Who would fit this path the best?
Well, being a CPA, just like really any desk job, you have to be the type of person who won't go insane sitting at a desk for 8, 10, 12, even more sometimes hours a day. There are some people who physically cannot stare at a spreadsheet all day. If that's not you, you shouldn't be an accountant or a CPA. Basically, if you want to be a CPA, you have to be able to meet deadlines and also be able to handle stress and, be able to sit, be organized, attention to detail, meet deadlines, and be able to deal with some stress and perform under pressure. Those are some of the basic skill sets a CPA should have.
Okay, and what about this? On the About page of Careers Out There, I talk about how my neighbor's a CFO at a hospital. And he says to me, as during my years as a recruiter, he'd say, "I can't believe you have this job where you have to talk to people all day." He's like, "I'd go crazy if I had to do that." He's like, "I can just be an introvert like myself. I could sit in a room by myself, look at my spreadsheets. I don't have to deal with anybody. This is the perfect job for me." And I said to him, if I couldn't talk to people all day and I had to stare at spreadsheets, I'd light my hair on fire and jump out the window. So is that the deal? Do you have to be an introvert, or is it just for that type of role where you're at a company as a CFO? Explain the differences there.
Well, being an accountant, a CPA, it's a service profession. You're not selling widgets or books, you're selling a service. And so part of selling a service is selling yourself. And so if you work in tax, your customers are bringing their stuff into you, their tax work into you, and you can't just show up and just be all weird. You have to chit chat. Hey, how's Johnny doing? What's going on with the business? And you have to just be able to talk to people. If you work in auditing, you have to be able to, number one, get along with your fellow auditors, but you have to be able to walk up to the accounts payable clerk and ask for something. You have to be able to knock on the CFO's door and, ask for something too. You have to be comfortable talking to people for the most part. Now, granted, in industry, like your friend works in industry, there are positions that lend themselves to people who would rather just, do their job from 8 to 5, be left alone, go home.
Okay, so the good thing is then there's different paths within accounting that fit different types of people, and so many people that are considering the path could really find a place for themselves.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about school now. So tell us this: if someone doesn't want to be a CPA, but they're looking to be an accountant, is college necessary?
No, if you want to be just an accountant, college is not necessary. Granted, you'll be more marketable if you have your degree in accounting or whatever, but if you graduate from high school or maybe you go to community college and take a bookkeeping class, then you can take your resume and go to, whatever small business, some mom and pop shop, whatever, and say, hey, I would like to do your bookkeeping, or you can start your own bookkeeping service. Most clients will not ask you, hey, where did you get your degree? They want to know, can you keep my books straight? Yes or no?
Right.
And so if you just want to be a bookkeeper or an accountant, you don't have to have a degree.
Okay. And then if you want to be a CPA, what should you study in college?
If you want to be a CPA, the most efficient approach is to get a bachelor's degree in accounting, and then most states require 150 hours of college credit in order to get your license and to get certified. Some states require 120 hours, which is about a bachelor's degree, just to sit for the exam, but many still require 150. So when someone graduates from college with an accounting degree, usually it makes sense to go an extra year and get a master's in accounting to get you, not only do you get the extra hours, but then you also get something along with like a master's degree.
So that means then that you're getting work experience first, or you just stay in school and then take the test?
Well, I personally graduated with a bachelor's degree, then went to work for a public accounting firm and got my work experience requirements, and then I went to night school to get my extra hours.
Okay.
A lot of people, it seems like a lot of people these days stay on the extra year, get their 150 hours, and then sit for the exam right after they graduate from their master's program.
Okay. So let's talk about that exam, because it's a big, ugly hurdle that everyone's got to jump over. So tell us all about that test. What do people have to know in order to pass that test?
Basically, the CPA exam is regarded as one of the most difficult professional exams out there. In total, it's 14 hours long, and it's broken up into 4 parts, which test over financial accounting, regulation, which is like tax, auditing, and then something called business environment and concepts, which is just basic business stuff. And it sounds simple enough. You just study and take it and pass, but it only has a 25 to 30% first-time pass rate. And people can study for one section like financial and then walk in and take it. You don't have to take all 4 parts like you used to all at once. So you can study for financial, go in and take it. And the current pass rates are about 50% who walk in and take a particular exam will fail it. So it's very, very difficult. It's very expensive. And people also usually need to buy an expensive review course in order to pass it too. It's probably similar to the bar review, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, sounds like it. So, what with the bar, you could take it only twice a year. How often can you take this test?
With the CPA exam, you can take it 2 months out of every quarter, so 8 months out of the year.
Okay.
So it's the exam has gotten harder than it used to be because it covers more information, but the accommodations for taking the exam, number one, it's computerized, and number two, you can take one section at a time if you want to. It's more friendly on exam day. So,
okay. I want to give a website here, the National Association of State Boards of Accountancy, which is nasba.org. We'll put that on the screen, and that will show you what you need in your state, what your state requires for you to even sit for the test. Or the other option, you could Google your state's name and then put Board of Accountancy, and it'll just pull up your state's website. But if you look at the national site, it has the map, and you could click on your state, and it'll pull up your state and all that info for your state, so you can see what you got to do. And let's talk about studying for this then. People have the options of the expensive courses. Do you know what those run? What's someone looking to spend for something like that?
To study for the exam, someone in theory could spend as little as $120. That's like $40 per book. Clear up to some courses cost over $2,500, $2,500 to $3,000. And since it has such a high fail rate, people spend a lot of money on a course that they find out that they don't really like that course.
Right.
So then they go spend even more money. So
brutal. So okay, so now you're devoting your career now to helping people pass the CPA exam at another71.com. So tell us about that and what's going on over there.
Basically, Another 71 was a website that I started in 2008 when I was just a candidate, when I was studying for the exam, and it became kind of like my online diary of my exam adventure. And I developed a following, and at the time there were no other CPA exam blogs. I was really the first one out there doing this, and I never intended to make a business out of it, and it was just a hobby. And then I developed somewhat of a following, and then over time I got some sponsors, and then I was able to quit my day job and be able to focus on helping people pass the exam through. I do phone coaching. I have study guides for sale, and I just kind of give general advice. So,
I love it. I love stories like that. So you said in the intro, I explained that you're getting 1.2 million page views a month.
Yeah, some months I get 1.2 million page views. Yep,
that's killer. That's just amazing.
Yeah, I'm now on my third server. There's different times throughout the year that kill my server. I was in a cloud, and now I had to upgrade to a VPN, a virtual private network, in order to handle the load. So.
Oh my god, that's great. That's the kind of problem you want to have, actually.
Yeah.
So after the ugliness of getting through the CPA exam, someone passes, they're done. Actually, before we even get to that, I want to make sure, you had told me that if someone goes to work at one of the big accounting firms, the Big Four they're known as,
right,
it's required that they pass within a certain amount of time, otherwise they're given the boot. Is that the deal?
Well, I think the culture within Big Four is that if they want to make a manager, then they have to have their CPA credential, because there's certain things that a non-CPA cannot do. So if you want to be a manager on site at Apple and leading an audit team or whatever, you have to have your CPA designation. And I think the culture within Big Four provides, maybe 2 years of leeway before it's like, why can't you pass the exam, and then people leave.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So it's really important, you guys. You got to take this seriously. So, all right. So I want to get back to that question. So after the ugliness of getting through it, you pass it. You're ready to move on. You've got your career started as a CPA. What is the most challenging aspect of that career path?
The most challenging aspect of being a CPA is being able to handle the work-life balance. Maybe it's a little easier before, because before you had work, family, exam, and now it's just work, family. But still, the hours can be insane. The stress can be crazy. The even in industry, the job that I left before, we had some pretty intense times, and my boss threw a candy dish against the wall out of anger, and I heard the F word so many times, you just don't even flinch after a while. So yeah, people handle stress differently. Some people just cannot have it. They quit. They go do something else, or maybe they move on to like a private company gig, and something a little bit more low key.
Okay. Okay. Then let's tweak that and talk about what weeds people out. What is the thing that if you can't handle this, it's like so challenging, a higher hurdle. What if you can't handle this? You shouldn't even go down this path at all.
If you can't handle the long hours, sometimes accountants, CPAs have to work from 7 in the morning to 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and then a lot of them travel because they don't live wherever their client is, so they're staying in a hotel room. So they show up on site at 7 in the morning, hit their hotel room at 11 o'clock at night, and then have to be at it again at 7 in the morning, and then repeat. And
Right.
a lot of people cannot handle that, especially if they have families.
Yeah, that can be pretty grueling. And then it's also a lot of sitting, right? Like you were saying earlier, sitting and staring at spreadsheets.
Right. If you can't handle the monotony of running through numbers and looking at data, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's still work, and no one ever said work was fun, but if you know that will drive you absolutely insane and you cannot handle that, then there's probably better career choices out there for you.
Right, right. So you got to really enjoy like the rewarding aspect that you were talking about of helping people. So let's talk now about getting a job. So the rewards outweigh the challenges for them. They've got the skill set, they've got the education, they're ready to go. What should they be doing as far as looking for a job? Should they just be going for the big four? Should they be doing what you did and looking at smaller? What's the lay of the land there?
If I were talking to someone today who wanted to work in accounting and did a really good job of through school, and Big Four firms wanted to hire them, I would highly recommend that they go work for a Big Four firm, because that's like your golden ticket. That's getting a couple of years of work experience working for a Big Four far exceeds pretty much any MBA that you could ever get, maybe outside of the Ivy League. I mean, it's if you work in Big Four accounting and then go work in industry, I mean, you will. A lot of people come in as a manager in industry, and so if you can go Big Four, I would highly recommend that, because it will do wonders for your career. It'll jumpstart it. I did not go Big Four, and I went a different path. I worked for a small company, and then worked for a private company, and then worked for 2 publicly traded companies. That's another path. But my number one piece of advice is that if you want to be an accountant out of college, go do accounting. Go do public accounting. Don't go work for a bank, because you'll be stuck in a bank. And because companies want to hire people with practical accounting experience who have been through tax season, know how to do book work. They want experience.
Interesting. That's good advice. Okay. Good, good, good. And then where can people take their career? You said that you get to be a manager. What would be the entry-level title, and then where can people see themselves going long-term? What is usually the goal and the path here?
Well, working in industry, it's pretty cluttered there at the top, and but people seem to want to work them, like go in and be a manager, work their way into maybe a director, be director over a division, maybe be controller, and then maybe be CFO. But obviously not everyone can be CFO. And so some people will be stuck in middle management. Some people will be stuck as a director. Other people just leave and go do other stuff, start their own business, whatever.
Right. So those are skills that are going to be really helpful in business.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so everyone's got their different goals. Let's talk about the keys to success to help them achieve those goals. You've got those years of experience out there, and now you're kind of overseeing all these people taking the exam. What can you tell people so that maybe they could get a head start? Maybe some just great keys to success for career advice that can help them get a head start once they're out there practicing.
Man, I think my number one key to success that I would recommend is that, and it's pretty simple, is that when you go to work. Like don't be on Facebook, don't be emailing, like go in there and kick butt, take names, go to your boss and say, "Hey, what can I take off your plate?" Because your boss is busy and your boss needs people to take their workload. And if you go in, do your job, figure out a more efficient way to do your job, knock it out of the way, take more of your boss's job, streamline it, create a process, knock it out of the way, man, you're going to move up because you are valuable. I had a friend who was not Big Four, but worked his tail off and went in, and he was looked at more favorably than any of the other Big Four people in the department. It was crazy because he went in, did exactly the process that I described, streamlined his own job, took pieces of other people's jobs, streamlined that, and just worked hard, man. And that's it. It's really weird that my number one piece of advice would be to do your job when you're at work, but it seems like 95% of people don't do that.
A lot of people don't. Very, very good advice. Any other advice? Any other last minute things you want to tell everybody who's heading out there to the CPA world?
Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's work. You have to provide for your family. And if you can figure out a way to, maybe you don't like your job, maybe you don't like accounting, or maybe you don't like sitting all day, but if you see it as a means to accomplish other goals, to better your family, to maybe project, your career in a different direction, maybe see the job that you hate as an opportunity to do better for yourself and your family. And it's amazing how a shift in mindset can just change everything for you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Excellent advice. All right, I hope this was helpful to you guys. Definitely hope it was helpful. Please leave feedback, comments, and questions in the comments section below the video at careersouththere.com. Jeff, thank you again for taking the time today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. You guys, you can find Jeff at another71.com. Definitely check out his site. And you can find episodes of Careers Out There at YouTube, iTunes, and Blip TV. Thanks again for watching, everybody. You, of course, can find us at careersouththere.com. Don't want to forget that. I'm Mark Luber. Thanks again for watching. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.